Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome. Well, thank you for being here.
I had an ombudsman training from 10 to 2, so that's why I'm sorry.
That's amazing. That's wonderful service. Thank you for doing that. We need ombuds like anything.
He's leading our spiritual care department at Bhakti Center.
So I've heard. Yes. What's that?
No, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, I also heard that. I heard that also.
Oh, zoom.
Spiritual care from abroad, from afar. We did it during lockdown. We did it.
Dina's here. Dina Bhakti's here.
Okay, so thank you all very much for being here, for taking your valuable time. I know, as I said earlier, in New York City, there are many things you could be doing other than sitting in this room with us. I'm sure there are a million things better to do, but we're so grateful that you've taken your valuable time to be here. Srimad Bhagavatam explains, and Bhagavad Gita, corroborates that money can be spent and we can lose everything, but we can always get it back. We can always get it back. But one moment spent is gone forever. So however we choose to spend our time is very, very valuable. It's the most valuable commodity that we have. When we're young, we think we have so much, and as we get older, we realize we don't really know how much we have. So it's a very valuable commodity. So I'm very grateful. We're very grateful for you taking your valuable time to be here. So we value your investment, and therefore we will try to do our best to serve you in some way. Also, our plan is to finish at 3:45, because we also value the fact that some of you would like to go to Brooklyn, and I think we also would like to go to Brooklyn. And we've been told if you don't finish at 3:45, forget it. Okay, you're not going to Brooklyn. So I'm just kidding. Okay, so we'll chant the Mangalacharanam prayers and then begin. Om Gyan Tiranda Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Saritam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari and Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Yevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So we are recently with Sheshika Prabhu in London, and we set out a lot of chairs for a gathering, and less people came, and I was going to make my usual joke, or I think I did make my usual joke, and then my Sheshika Prabhu turned the whole thing around, so I'm going to try to do what he did, which is like, great, we put out enough chairs for those who are going to come late, but we'd like to request everyone who's sitting at the back, if you could please come forward a little bit, so that we all feel like a nice, tight unit all together. And also this presentation will be a little interactive, so you'll still have to interact with someone a little bit. So if you don't mind, but if you feel uncomfortable doing that, then don't worry. All the demigods will fill up the space in between.
They're already here.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. See? Confirmed. So no wonder you didn't move, because you didn't want to step on any demigod toes, right? Okay. All right, so devotee care. What are we doing here? Okay. Yes, sir.
I have room in my car for 1 or 2 people if anybody wants to go to Radha.
That's amazing. Okay. 1 or 2. Okay. So there you go. Thank you. What's your name, Prabhu? Bindu Madhava Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Where is the Bindu Madhava deity? Prayag. That's right. Okay. Thank you. That was a very special deity, Bindu Madhava. Okay. So, we are discussing devotee care. And we'll just get on with the program and I won't talk so much. Right? So next we have a quote here.
Those who think that devotion to God and kindness to the jiva's souls are mutually different from each other and perform accordingly in their life, such persons will not be able to follow the devotional culture. Their performances are only a semblance of devotion. Therefore, all the types of beneficent edition.
Beneficence, but spelled right or wrong?
But yeah, to others, like kindness, friendliness, forgiveness, charity, respect, and so on, are included in Bhakti. The actions of respect, friendliness, and kindness are the very form of love and the characteristic portion of Bhakti. Charity of medicines, clothes, food, water, etc., shelter during adversities, teaching of academic and spiritual education, etc., are the activities included in the devotional culture.
Okay, so this is a quote. Anyone would like to guess where this quote is from? Can everyone read it? This was another trick, just in case you can't read the screen, we get people to move forward. Anyone like to guess? Venture a guess. There's no charge, and you won't be penalized or punished either if you get it wrong. Bhagavatam, okay, good guess, but no. Bhagavad Gita, no, but good guess. Purple from CC, another good guess, but no.
Nectar devotion.
Nectar devotion, good guess again, but no.
You made it up.
I made, finally, someone gets it right. I made it up just so I could make it look good. Actually, this is from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sri Tattva Sutra. So anything stands out to anyone in this quote? Do you see it over on that side? Okay. Yes, mother and father. They're both telling each other to go first, such humble Vaishnava couple.
I like to point out that this Bhakti is not different from showing that in our practical life and behavior, so our character actually is not different from our devotional life, so it should be reflected in our practical life and how we behave.
Okay, perfect. So our devotional life should be reflected in our practical life day to day with whomever we interact with. That's
Two things. First thing is that you can't separate devotion to God and kindness to the jivas. They go together. You can't have one without the other. And number two, sometimes as devotees, people have the misconception that, well, care is only like, we're not the body, so care is only for like the spiritual life of others. But this quote specifically says charity of medicines, clothes, food, water, etc., shelter during adversities, teaching of academic and spiritual education are the activities included in devotional culture. So also caring for the entire individual, body, mind, and soul is part of devotion and kindness to the souls.
very nice, yes. That's very powerful. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Yes, Prabhu, what is your name?
My name is
Anil. Okay. Oh, Aniruddha. Okay, Aniruddha.
I think if you don't care about our behavior with others, then it will result in a bad way for our spiritual growth as well. So it's even you don't care, but it's result for your any act. It's on your ways. So whether you care or doesn't, but it's work.
Okay, sounds very powerful, yes. This Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur seems to be expressing here that actually our bhakti will be a semblance of bhakti if we don't just give love in general to jivas. So of course we're here speaking about devotee care, and sometimes persons have said, well, why just devotees? And of course, the point is that we have to start somewhere, you know. We could say start with your family, start with whomever. But this is such a powerful quote because it helps us to understand that our acharyas, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of whom is one of the greatest, his mood and spirit was that actually that bhakti that we're meant to be cultivating is not just for us, and it's not even just for our immediate devotee community. It's actually meant to expand broadly, widely, to encompass everyone. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he uses a phrase we often quote, that a devotee is para dukkha dukhi. And what does that mean? It means that a devotee, he feels the dukh, the distress, the difficulty of another person. Like he really feels it. And on the devotee care course, we do a whole section on empathic listening and discussing the topic of empathy. And especially how empathy is quite different from sympathy. And how to actually be empathic with another person. Because care, in its essence, really is meaning that I am para dukkha dukhi. I feel for someone else. And someone else's needs, rather everybody else's needs, they'll always be unique and different. Nobody's needs will almost ever be the same exactly. Does that make a little bit of sense? Because we're all unique sparks of Krishna's splendor. So everyone's situation or circumstance will always be a little slightly unique and different. So one of our godbrothers, he may be coming here soon, I don't know, Radha Gopinath Prabhu, we were discussing devotee care. And he said devotee care can be summed up in one word. And I said, do tell, Prabhu, do tell. And he said the word was sensitivity. Sensitivity. Devotee care means sensitivity. And I said, okay, I got it. What's the purport? And he said, because devotee care requires that we become sensitive to the needs of each individual. So just looking at 4 persons here, each one of you will have your own unique set of care needs. And we should be very careful. Well, we'll discuss this more later, but that's the essence and a sense of devotee care. So we're trying to build the future of ISKCON with care. With care. And why do we want to do that? Because we should handle ISKCON with care. And especially we should handle, ISKCON is only ISKCON because it has devotees. And the devotees are very fragile. So we should handle them with care. They're very delicate. Sometimes we can think the devotees are not so fragile, they're really tough, so we can, hey Prabhu! We can really give it to them the way they need to have it. It's like, anyone's ever experienced, I'm sure none of you here have ever experienced or been a little rough with someone else, but I'm a very rough person, so time to time, or most of the time, it can be rough. But we should try to handle devotees with care. Because actually the heart is so fragile that just one word said the wrong way at the wrong time makes an impression in the heart that stays there forever. Anyone's had that experience? Yeah? If you don't raise your hand, then I'll know your experience was so bad you don't even... But yeah, we've all had that experience where someone has said something and we think, I can't believe they just said that, and then we still carry it around, So we have to be very careful. Kula Prabhu, could you read this?
Sure. The devotees of Krishna are the most exalted persons on this planet, better than kings, all of them. So we should always remember that, and like the bumblebee, always look for the nectar or the best qualities of a person.
So this is a quote, I won't get you to guess. So this is Srila Prabhupada in a letter to Atreya Rishi Prabhu. I encourage you, if you like to read Prabhupada letters, this letter is invaluable as instruction. So this is from 1972, February 4th, 1972 Trey Rishi letter. Such a powerful letter. Anything stands out to anyone in this letter? Anything stands out to anyone? Okay. I'm going to come back to you. Someone who's not, because it makes it real easy if just the four people on this side always say something. Someone, anything at all that stands out? Okay. Anything that doesn't stand out? Okay, Prabhuji, and what's your name?
My name is Amish.
Amish, yes,
I'll
Amish.
just say what stands out.
Please.
Very simple. Except the devotees of Krishna are more exalted persons than others on the planet.
Yeah, Prabhupada doesn't just say others. What does he say? They're more exalted than
kings.
Kings.
Even kings, yeah.
I mean, kings are considered pretty exalted, right? And then to show them so much respect. But he says that the devotees of Krishna are better than kings. And which ones does he say? Does he say the gurus? Does he say the GBCs? Just sannyasis? Only women? Just men? What does he say?
All of them.
All of them. It's a pretty blanket statement, huh? Anything else stands out? You just came in, but welcome. I bet you've been very busy cleaning up next door, doing something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So thank you. Just so you know, you're more exalted than a king. And I'm not making that up. Srila Prabhupada said it, and it's true. Hare Krishna. There's another thing Sheshika Prabhu said when he was in London. We played this little game with a group of devotees. He said, I want you to all get up now and walk around. We're not going to do it, but you can do it in your own time. And imagine that everyone is wearing a sign that says, make me feel important. And he said, and we're going to take 10 minutes and just walk around the room and try to make as many people in the room feel important as you can. And the energy in the room just blew up, you know. It's like so amazing. And then he said, now I dare you to do this throughout the rest of the day with anyone that you meet. Whenever you look at someone, just see a sign around them that says, make me feel important. And just make them feel good, you know. It's so powerful. Anyway, anything else stands out to anyone? What is your name, Mother? Mira.
Yeah. So there's one who said Rashidika who said they didn't know if he was important. And then Lord Chaitanya who says, I'm looking for honor, respect. So how we do distinguish under level of quality.
Okay, very nice. If I understood you correctly, what you said is, Vaisheshika Guru said make people feel important, but then Lord Chaitanya says that we should...
No, we should not look for honor or respect.
Yes. We should not expect respect, but he says also we should give respect to everyone. So it's different. We shouldn't expect it. And it's not that we're waiting for someone to come up and glorify us. So we don't need that to get on with our spiritual life. But everyone needs encouragement, beyond a shadow of a doubt. On the spiritual platform, maybe not. But again, Vaisheshika Guru, somehow a lot of his quotes are coming up. You may have heard, he says this thing, you have to encourage the heck out of people, right? You have to encourage the heck out of people. And then he says, because the heck gets in people, so you have to encourage it out. Anyway, you didn't get the joke. It's a funny thing. But we all need to be encouraged. So we shouldn't say, because I don't expect respect, then I won't give respect to anyone. Does that make sense?
But what about making your head go big?
Yeah. Let's worry about trying to make people's hearts go big. Right? I mean, Krishna will take care of big heads. I mean, probably, anyone here has got a false ego? I'm not the only one. Yay, see, I told you I'm not the only one. So, we all have a false ego. And a pauper is proud of his penny. So even a poor man who has one penny, he becomes very proud. I've got this penny. You know, Marge was saying last night, we're offering arti and we're the flame. We're thinking, oh, I'm standing here offering. We become proud over anything. But as devotees, we should be like bumblebees, always looking for the nectar and the good qualities. It's so easy to see the black spot on the white sheet. And we think, I know I'm like this, I just find faults in anything and everything. So we see the black spot and we think, oh, I have to tell someone about that black spot. You know, I have to tell you about your black spots, okay? Because it's my duty in life to let you know about your black spots because I don't want your head to get too big. Do you get that? But if I say, you know, it is amazing the service that you're doing here. I'm so inspired by the way that you communicate with people. You touch people's hearts. You really make them feel welcome. You make them feel inspired. And I'm inspired. So thank you. Which would you rather have? Of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that one who praises me, he is my enemy. But one who criticizes me, he is my friend. But that doesn't mean that we should walk around thinking we're everyone's friend by just criticizing them. The point is there's a way we have to think, and then there's a way we have to act. One devotee said to me early on that Krishna, the perfection of bhakti is being able to, within your mind, balance two apparently contradictory ideas at the same time and still carrying on with service. So this could be conceived as a contradictory thing, that we think we're not meant to glorify and praise devotees because they'll get puffed up and that's not a good thing for them. But the other side is that Lord Chaitanya expressed that we should offer respect to all devotees. And we show respect by giving them praise. We should glorify the devotees. But if we have a position or a responsibility where we have to point out some things that need to be improved, then of course that we have to do. But we should do that with deep consideration based on Shastra. Does that make sense?
So here we see a quote. The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. The understanding is that one of them is that to care, not so in one sense my immediate results now for what I need, but we're actually looking for future. How are people going to benefit from this seed planting now, as it were? The point that was made earlier about why devotee care, one sense, why not? But if we start that mood of planting the seeds of care now for devotees, in the future, the benefit will be reaped. When we're starting the service now, selfless service. I know that when I was coming to the temple many years ago, when I was at university, initially no one would notice me. Initially I would come through the door. I felt it was like a revolving door. I'd go through the door, up the stairs. It was actually like this going on, and up the stairs, take darshan, and then go out the other door and go out. And it felt lonely. It felt like, where are the devotees? And after some time of doing that, and even at the Sunday Peace program, it was completely packed, the temple room. But it was lonely. No one was saying anything. And after some time, one Srila Prabhupada disciple actually that was based there, she took it upon herself to stand at the top of the stairs. So you have the reception downstairs, they had a guest greeter, but she took it upon herself. And she would just say, hello, well, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. And every time someone came, she would speak to them and, what is your name? And try to engage them, she engaged me in service. And it just for me, I feel it kept me going. I mean, it kept me going for 25 years, I must admit. That's how long I was there. Because initially it felt like, I don't know what this temple is about. I'm reading Prabhupada's books and they sound amazing, but the reality is different from the books. But it just took one person to reach out and invest in me, and she engaged me in service, and the service she engaged me in, I'm still doing now. She's not there anymore. She's not so well. She's not serving there, but I just feel that the connection of just for her to invest in me, and I was just one of many people that was coming through the door, men and women that she was investing in. We just went on to reap the results of what she was planting.
Where was this?
ISKCON London.
Radha. Actually, my wife, she had books, and she was reading the books. Literally, she was reading and chanting. She was reading the books, and just from reading the books, she started chanting at home. So she was doing all of this outside the Association of Devotees. Then she thought, let me go to the temple and see the devotees. And when she was going to the temple, she was like, where are the devotees? No one's kind of speaking to me, So it can feel kind of lonely. And the service that this Prabhupada disciple engaged her in was back in the day when you didn't have email. Sorry, those days existed. And people actually used one of these, which hardly exist anymore, and they write letters and they put it in the mail. And she engaged her in being a pen pal. You've heard of this term, pen pal? For one lady who lives in the north of England. To this day, my wife and her are still in touch, and her physical and mental health is not so good, and it wasn't so great then. So she's a little bit of a recluse, but her and my wife are just like best friends for 25, 26, maybe 27 years now, and they regularly send cards to each other and communicate, and so it's like that, sometimes we just need to be in touch with someone. We need someone to care. There's a story of a king, this is in the Puranas, and this king, an elderly gentleman, actually, he wasn't a king, he was an elderly gentleman, and he was planting one coconut tree on the side of the road. And while he was planting this kind of baby coconut tree, the king and his retinue came by. And from a distance, the king could see this older man planting this little coconut tree. And he kind of giggled a bit to himself. And then he had the retinue stop. And he said to the old man, "Sir, how old are you?" And he said, "My dear king, I'm 92. And he said, "Sir," and he kind of chuckled, "you do realize it will take at least 15 to 20 years for that coconut tree to fructify and manifest coconuts." And he said, "Yes, my lord, I'm not planting this tree for me. I'm planting this tree for my grandchildren." He said, you see that coconut tree over there?" He said, "My grandfather planted that for me, and I lived my whole life on the coconuts from that tree." The king was like, and he said, "That's so amazing, I'm so happy." And then he benedicted him in some way. But the point being that, we have to see that the efforts and the endeavors we make now are an investment into the future. Often we make decisions that only show fruits as soon as possible, and so that I can reap them. I want to celebrate the fruits while I'm here from my own action. And of course, Bhagavad Gita condemns this. It says we're not entitled to the fruits of our action. But at the same time, we often still act. Imagine if we made decisions that weren't just for us, that were one step in a lengthier process to benefit the future generations. 2 generations from now, the children of your children. What decisions would we make differently if we were thinking like that? Does that make sense? Some of you may know that Chinese bamboo tree, it doesn't grow for 5 years. Can you imagine if we cleared this area and we planted some bamboo, and we were just waiting to get the bamboo. Anyone here has ever done any gardening? Yeah, I mean, I love it. Growing something is so awesome. You plant the seeds, you water it, and then, you know, a couple of months later, poof, wow, great. You know, the peppers come, the radishes, the potatoes, tomatoes, I can't remember which way to say it. But anyway, and you know, there it is. A little effort and so much fruit. Imagine a whole year you water this field and nothing comes. Then next year you do the same thing. And nothing comes. Third year, forget it. I'm out of here. I'm doing something else with my life, right? Who would be in that space, right? You have to wait 5 years. And then you see, look. And then what is it? Within 6 weeks, it can grow up to 80 feet. So that's, you know, the way time works. And sometimes something of value we invest in, it takes time. So we have to do it regardless of not seeing the fruits immediately.
So the International Devotee Care Team, this is their mission statement. Our mission is simple. We want every devotee to be spiritually happy, materially well situated, and positively identify with ISKCON as a caring society.
Who feels this is a valuable mission statement? Yeah? Okay. Who feels we're already there? Why do we have such a crazy mission statement? Okay. Anything stands out to anyone in this?
That's actually a statement, not exactly the way, but it's in the Jewish community.
In the Jewish community. Please forgive me, but you don't look Jewish.
I don't know Jewish. I read a little book at my workplace, a little pamphlet,
Great.
where I read something similar to this. It's like, well, they're talking in terms of materialistic, right? So if one Jewish man happens to have his business fail, don't wait until he reaches to the ground and then try to pick him up. Help him before he reaches there.
Okay.
So financially, they're saying help him, you know, and the family, so it doesn't become a shame on the family, and then he will lose faith in the religion.
Okay. Powerful. Other Kamagiri? My goodness, I thought it was in Columbus again.
Straight from the spiritual world.
Nice to see you. Wow. See, I told you the demigods would show up. Better.
She was Radhamani's Pujari in Ohio.
Oh, Krishna.
When they were blue.
When he was blue.
Really.
Amazing. So this is nice. Mira, Mother Mira. So you were saying that that in the Jewish community they have a similar type of statement. Don't wait for a person to fall all the way to the ground.
Or to become faithless.
Yeah, to become faithless. Pick him up and help him. Yeah. Huh?
Before he goes down.
Before he goes down. Very nice. Yes. In one sense, the Jewish community, there's a lot that we can learn. Because as a community, they've created something which is very functional, which is this. They have a society. And just since we've been doing this work over the last kind of 2 to 3 years, I've really started to realize that with our institution, which is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we definitely got the international down. Yes? Just in this room, we're already international. We definitely got Krishna consciousness down. Everywhere you look, there's pictures of Krishna, we're reminding, but the society part is still a little bit lacking. And for me, I really feel this is what Srila Prabhupada meant when he said 50% of my work is left undone. and he mentioned Varnashram. And of course, whenever we say Varnashram, immediately devotees say farms, farms. But for me, I'm like, Hari, Hari. It's 1/4 at best of Varnashram. But Varnashram means a functioning society. And in the Jewish community, whatever is your nature, your job, your kind of dharma, you do that, and people interact, and they sort of assist and help one another. So it's
They
very
also have a system whereby they have all these big apartment buildings, and the poor community, they'll help them to get like a section of their government help in that building. So the rich will benefit and the poor also will benefit, and they keep it in the community.
They keep it in the community. Very nice. I mean, we were just talking with some devotees earlier about, what would it take to get an apartment or a flat near this temple here in Manhattan. And I think the devotee collapsed in laughter, because it's like, and then we went on some website and some app and started looking, and yeah, I mean, 500,000 minimum. So imagine if our society had become so successful in caring for the devotees that we owned an entire, well, of course we have a building here, but we owned an entire apartment building where we could help devotees to get situated so they could serve Radha Muralidhar day in and day out and be fixed here in New York and right in the center and do the missionary work. So this is a wonderful example. Thank you for sharing this.
My person's group, dad's group, is one of Prabhupada very close helper.
Yes.
He had like a GoFundMe to help for his welfare.
Yeah.
He's helped build the whole ISKCON movement.
Yeah.
And now he's actually begging for his welfare. This is supposed to be a society already set up to take care of all the devotees.
Absolutely, yes. And in our travels, we're experiencing this part, which sometimes devotees bring up, like, why does it say that, or what does that mean? Materially well situated. Because often we think that, we're a spiritual institution and we just look after the spiritual needs. But if, I'm meeting devotees now, we're traveling, who are in their 70s and still having to go out and do jobs that they don't really want to do just to make money, to live in a situation. And when I was asking them, why are you doing that? Now you're like, as Prabhupada would say, the fag end of your life. And they said, well, because for 30 or 40 years I never paid into the Social Security because I gave everything, all my youth to ISKCON, and now the society isn't able to look after me. And we were discussing this earlier with some young devotees, and it's like, we want to encourage devotees to be completely dependent on the institution, but our experience is that doesn't really work. The thing is, it'd be great if it had. But a lot of times there wasn't the forethought of what it will look like when we're older. And so that situation hasn't been created. But this is such a nice example, like you mentioned, of the Jewish community and how they really have created that social infrastructure that is able to care and support their community. So thank you very much for that contribution. And please don't take offense that I said you didn't look Jewish. You could be Jewish, I don't mind, it's okay.
So this is Krishna addressing Arjuna. My dear Parta, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. So we can see here that in one sense, just thinking about devotee care, it pleases Krishna, if nothing else. When we're trying to please Krishna, just to care for his devotees is a quick, easy, simple way to please the Lord.
Srila Prabhupada says, Vedic civilization is sarve sukhino bhavantu. Everyone be happy. This is Vedic civilization, and this is the way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So this is what Srila Prabhupada has to say, that we should all be happy. one of the big discussions that we do on the actual devotee care course, which we would like to come back and run here. It takes a little bit of time, but it's very beneficial, is to discuss, what happiness actually looks like for individuals, and, the material idea of happiness versus the spiritual idea of happiness and how they look together. So
then we just wanted to ask everyone here, maybe just turn to the partner, or you can just turn to whoever's sitting next to you. What is your understanding of devotee care? What is devotee care to you? So maybe just for a couple of minutes, whoever's sitting next to you, just share, because we don't make assumptions of it. What is your understanding of it?
It has eradication.
We used to have a big apartment building. We had that on 55th Street in the 11th-story temple, actually. Now they're planning on doing that in Sravana, but they just get the air rights. I remember she was saying how you'd walk in the temple and nobody would talk to him. Tamal Krishna Maharaj used to do the morning lecture on Sunday, and he'd say, I don't want to see any devotees sitting together. You have to be sitting together. All kinds of, it used to be everybody 20 years old, 40, 50-year-old, 60-year-old people sitting for initiation.
Yeah.
That's true. Nice to see all this change. I think the devotees would make a little less.
I think we do need more care.
So because I see that you're all a little bit in groups, we got a pair here, a little group here, and three. So if you could just come up with a summary, one sentence. What is devotee care? Like devotee care is, or devotee care means. Yeah? Could you just do that? And we're going to give you 1 minute. Okay.
Taking care of devotees spiritually, financially.
Okay, 10 seconds. Ready? Okay. She looks like she's ready for bed. Okay. So I'll tell a little joke before you begin. The devotee care course is called Embedding Care in Krishna Conscious Communities. That's the name of the actual course that we run. We're just kind of doing a little teaser session. But about halfway through the course, because it's about a 20-hour course, usually some devotees start doing like this, and then I say, the course is called Embedding Care, but it looks like we should be in bed. And Mataji's is like, I am ready. Okay, since you're so ready, just to keep you awake, what is your name?
Eliana.
Eliana. Were you on reception the other day? No. I keep meeting Eliana. Okay. Please, what is your definition? She forgot.
It's looking out for the welfare of each other, both spiritual and material.
Okay. Looking after the welfare of others, spiritually and materially. How about in the back? You had your hands raised first. Who is your spokesperson?
She's going to.
She's going to? Okay. It was delegated. Yes. Nini.
Providing for each and every aspect care for the devotees.
Okay. Providing for each and every aspect of the devotees. So very similar to what they said, yes? And you two, you had the smallest group, so we're expecting a lot from you.
Devotee care is implementing systems by which you can support the needs of each devotee holistically.
Wow, I love that. Implementing systems by which you can support the needs of each and every devotee. Holistically. Well done, that's great, okay. Still very similar, but I like the addition of implementing systems like that, that's nice. And Kula Prabhu, no pressure since you're in charge of this whole area for what, the whole East Coast, I think, or something? For North America? That's what I heard, something like that. No pressure, Prabhu.
I don't have an answer. That's the case. Well, we said that providing support for devotees in spiritual, mental, physical, financial needs, and based on what those needs are, respective to each individual.
Okay, very nice. So you said mental, physical, emotional. Did you say emotional?
Yeah,
financial?
Emotional, spiritual, financial. There are a list of things I've seen.
Yeah.
For
Okay, you didn't swat up before the class. I got you.
But the individual assessment was very good from.
Okay, yeah, and it's for each individual, like we talked about in the beginning, being sensitive to the individual. And I think you said holistically also, which implies that. Anyway, wonderful, nice, very nice answers.
And Bindu Madhava Prabhu said we've actually made quite a bit of an advancement in that, because we're not, just calling people blooped or karmis anymore. We've almost eradicated those terms.
Almost.
I haven't heard blooped or fringy in a million years.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Sometimes when we travel and we speak about devotee care, we get usually the top 3 things, and it's changing, but the top 3 ways that devotees identify devotee care. Like you've all just said very progressive things. Often devotees will say, oh, devotee care means when a devotee is sick. So devotee care means looking after sick devotees. Sick meaning physically sick, not like the slang word sick. These days, sick is cool, man. But sick devotees. Or they say looking after devotees who are elderly, older devotees, or senior devotees, or senior citizen type devotees. So looking after sick devotees or looking after old devotees. And the third one is, you want to take a guess? Sick, old equals?
Disease, sick, disease, dying.
Exactly. Those who are about to die, leave their bodies. So sometimes we show up and people say at the first session, they say two things we heard. One is, is this course going to teach us end-of-life care? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, what is devotee care if you're not going to teach me how to look after people who are dying? And, you know.
Recently when we taught it, one devotee came up to me during the morning program and said, oh, are you the nurse? I said, no, I'm not a nurse. She said, oh, your husband's a nurse. I said, no. She said, well, what are you teaching on devotee care?
Yeah. So, by the way, we're not nurses or doctors. No, you're a chaplain. That's right. He works with nurses at the hospital. He works with them. So the point being that there is a serious misconception around the term devotee care, or I didn't say misconception, but people have preconceived notions or ideas of what devotee care means. And I think it goes a little bit along with the fact that, oh yeah, almost like we only really start to care for someone once they're on the ground. Once they're sick, once they're old, once they're about to leave their body. Then we care. But care starts prior to being, manifesting in the womb. Prabhupada talked about Garbhodan Samskara. That is care. That's care for a jiva who hasn't even manifested. Do you understand? It's a consciousness, and from the moment that jiva manifests, it's an entire life of care that will be different requirements at every stage of that jiva's incarnation in this world. So care is a very broad thing. Yes?
There was a time when if somebody left, even, sannyasi or devotee, devotees would kind of, they're fallen, they're out of it, blah, blah, blah. And Prabhupada wrote the 8th canto talking about don't push them away, they're devotees, pull them back. And a lot of times devotees, didn't understand that. And the fact that Prabhupada specifically wrote, it was about Madhavisa Swami, and how much service he's done in Australia. And when he left, everybody was like criticizing him and everything. So I think we've come a long way on that care part also, spiritually.
Very nice. And we discussed that actually, Bindu Madhapu, a bit in our morning class, anyone who was here for that, just how after Jaya and Vijaya were cursed to take birth in the material world, the Lord was praying to the 4 Kumaras, please don't let them, bless them so that they can come back and be with me soon. Even though they've made an offense and they have to be chastised, they had to be rectified, he had permitted them to be corrected, but he still wanted them to come back. So like this. Very nice. That's very, very grateful. And Bindu Madhapu, please, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm assuming that you're a Prabhupada disciple. And please forgive me that I don't know you and I've offered you inappropriate respect.
Better for your spiritual advancement. You don't know me.
Oh. And that is pure proof of why I need to get to know you. So this is the next question for you all.
So next question is, why is devotee care important?
So again, talk in your little groups. We want just again one sentence, and this time we're going to give you 90 seconds. 2 minutes. It's called Parkinson's Law of Efficiency, if anyone knows that. Okay, 30 seconds.
Planting the tree, plant shade, not even for yourself, but for future generations. You care about Bhava.
You ready again? Okay, just whatever is your top reason why you think it's important. Okay, ladies here, you have your hands raised.
So Krishna says that his devotees are very dear to him. So caring for the devotees is being the servant of the servant. He's also a service.
Okay, and I had to ask you, what is your name?
My name is Radha Govinda Devi Dasi.
Radha Govinda Devi Dasi. Okay, thank you, Radha Govinda Mataji. So you got that? Basically, means being the servant of the servant. Caring for Krishna's devotees because they're so dear to Krishna, then we become the servant of the servant, and that pleases Krishna, and also it's the most beneficial thing for us. Okay, perfect. Someone else? How about over here? Kulapur, did you have the...
We all agreed the best thing is to keep Lord Chaitanya's movement moving forward.
Oh, perfect. I like that. I don't think I've heard that one before. That's really nice. That by looking after devotees, it will keep Lord Chaitanya's movement going. It serves the mission. Perfect. One thing we often discuss again on the course is how within our movement we can become very concerned about the mission and we forget about the missionaries. So the mission, and the missionaries are kind of a little bit expendable. But if you don't have missionaries, then you won't have any. The mission can still be there, but you're not going to make much progress with it. Ladies, anything? And what is your name?
Jenna.
Jenna and?
Benugita.
Venugita. Oh, okay. I think I've heard about you. Yeah, right. I've heard a few things about you.
I'm sweating.
I think you spoke to my wife. She mentioned there was a young lady named Venugita. Okay.
Devotee care is important because we have to learn how to serve devotees to put Krishna in the center.
Wow, I like it. You guys are a good team. You have to learn to serve Krishna, learn to serve devotees to put Krishna in the center. And in the back, last but not least, and Prabhu, your name again?
Amish.
Amish, okay.
Mine is very similar to the first group, which is that Krishna is pleased when we're servant of his servants.
Okay, so Krishna is pleased when we become the servants of the servants. Now, I just wonder, are you guys eavesdropping on these ladies here and just, you're like, whatever they say, just put it in the book? I'm kidding. Thank you, Amish.
They heard what they listen out.
Oh, thank you. I was hoping someone would say that. They're eavesdropping on you. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, so here's an interesting one. And I'll give you a couple of minutes on this one. What do you think are some reasons for a possible lack of devotee care? Why do you think there might be or may have been? I mean, I'm not going to proclaim there was, but I think a lot of people agree that there has been. But why, what do you think is a reason for a lack of devotee care? Please, again, speak in your little groups. Yeah. Usually we would split you up, but see what happens? A lady comes in and she immediately divides the male congregation.
We look for her for inspiration.
I mean, you could actually jump at 11. If you wanted, you could join these ladies here. Yeah, because then there's 3, 3, 3, 3.
Okay.
Breaking us up.
No, I'm keeping you together, bro. It's like the Beatles and what was her name? Yoko. I'm just kidding, God. That's a terrible joke. Erase that from Facebook. I just thought these two young ladies are really good at music.
They're the best.
Yeah. I should.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Fault finding.
Time up. So try to come up with your top 2 reasons. You might have 20, but just narrow it down to 2, the most important.
Fault finding.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready at the back? Ladies, ready yet? Yeah? Ladies?
Okay, you're right.
All right, we'll see if we let you have 3. I knew this would happen by putting you up. She's broken all over. Okay, we'll let you go first. If you just give your top 2 first.
I've been the spokesperson. She's making me the spokesperson. So one reason is a lack of resources. Another reason is not knowing what care is for ourselves and for others. And the third reason is we're so focused on making devotees instead of caring for the people that become devotees.
Okay, so lack of resource, insufficient knowledge of what care is, and overemphasis on new devotees. Okay, perfect, thank you. Ladies?
So I would say selfishness.
Selfishness or self-interest?
Yes.
And maybe a lack of experience of receiving devotee care.
Wonderful.
So that is like a chain reaction, then you
Yeah.
don't give it.
You pass it down. You didn't receive it, you can't give it. By the way, Miles Davis, in his autobiography, he says, you can't blow in your horn what you haven't lived in your life. So you can't give what you haven't received. So this goes back to the first point. This is an investment. If we start giving it now, the future generations will know how to give. I love that answer. Third, yes?
It's unawareness. People do not know that something like this exists or
Perfect.
they go for it. And
Lack of knowledge or unaware?
other is guidance. They do not know how to proceed further, even if they want to do that. Like
Okay,
the ways it leads.
great. So not only unaware about it, but there's no one guiding how to give or what it's all about. Wonderful. 2 answers. See how succinctly they just kept you to 2? Okay, cool.
Yeah, 2. Fault finding.
Fault finding. Okay.
And the fruitive mentality, like looking for results.
Fruitive mentality. More focused on the here and now rather than the future.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So the International Devotee Care course, by the way, it's not a course that we came up with. Some of you may be familiar with Rasamandala Prabhu. He's your god brother, Prabhupada disciple, very much an academic. He has many credentials, but he worked with about 50 devotees from around the movement, most of them senior, to come up with the course. He compiled all the information, worked with them, collaborated, and put together the course. On the course, he also asked them, this question. And they came up with a list of 21 reasons. And then that list is listed according to the prominence with which each devotee gave as a thing. So I'm going to share with you the top 5. So number 1 is self-interest. In general, it's just a lack of self-interest, a lack of concern or empathy is the main reason for a lack of devotee care. Short-term vision, which was mentioned, disregard for the consequences. Wrong priorities. Just a simple failure to see the need for devotee care. Just don't know it's there. They had at number 4 a lack of individual empowerment, which means that often individuals weren't empowered to make things happen. And so, Srila Prabhupada was very expert at it, in fact. He was empowering individuals. But a lot of people feel that later that proprietorship for individuals to make something happen wasn't so prominent. And inadequate professionalism, some people gave. But all of the things that were mentioned here were also mentioned in that long list, especially a lack of knowledge about it, lack of guidance around the implementation of it, and like that, all of the lack of resources, so things like that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Jenna. Yes.
What does inadequate professionalism mean?
What do you think it means?
I don't know if that means like the movements, like the organization lacking in some sort of professionalism, or if that's referring to devotees themselves and the care that they require based on their involvement in other professions or not.
Okay. I think he probably, and I don't have the book in front of me with that, each one of them has like a little purport. But in general, inadequate professionalism can refer to both kind of things. It means that there was a lack of a kind of professional mentality. Earlier when you said, what does devotee care mean? You said to implement systems. So a lot of times, that's, even I know my experience when I was temple president, when I would talk about implementing systems, devotees would be like, oh, becoming a corporate office now, Nitai, and the corporate, Prabhu, we should just be spontaneous. I said, Prabhu, if you were on the Raganuga platform, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm not, you're not, But so sometimes if you approach things in a professional way, it's not necessarily so accepted, and that still goes on globally. But also, in the early days, there was a lack of, like now, working with some devotees on a project called the BMA. You've heard of that yet? Bhaktivedanta Medical Association. It's, GBC is kind of replacing what used to be the health ministry with the BMA, Bhaktivedanta Medical Association, and there's a devotee in London, Sundaranand Prabhu. He now has 200 professionals, devotees from around the movement who are professionals in the medical industry in different ways that are working together to assist devotees when they need some guidance on things. And one example is, we're very close with one family. They recently had a child. She was born with some, like, a disease, a deteriorative disease. And it was devastating for them, and they've been going through the whole health system, and we were in touch with them, and they were just heartbroken, and they didn't know where to turn. They didn't know if they were getting the right help. They couldn't go private because they didn't have enough money. And I said, look, let me try to connect you to one of these doctors from this thing. And so I was a little reluctant, but I put them in touch with Sundaranand. He said, I'm going to have this lady in South Africa contact them. I said, man, she's in South Africa. How's this going to work? He said, just try it. So I did it. They contacted her. She called them back immediately. She said, look, just send me all the documentation that you have. Let me have a look. I can't look after the child, but I can at least look at whatever has been done so far. And she is one of the top pediatricians in South Africa in her profession, and she's an initiated devotee. So they sent the documents. About 2 days later, she called them back. She says, I've gone through everything, and this is what the disease is. This is how it affects the child. This is the way that it works. These are the things that you can expect. This is how it goes. And what they're doing so far is basically what you can do. So just trust in that system, and you can stay in touch with me anytime, and I can try to give you some answers if you need them. She didn't help. She didn't touch the child. They phoned me up in tears, so grateful that someone was there to speak to them, a devotee who knew what they were doing, because devotees want to trust devotees. And the devotees are professionals, and they know they can't fix the problem, but they can at least give some support. So it's like that. So it is powerful. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it gave me an opportunity to tell a nice story. Hare Krishna. My wife's like, will this guy ever shut up? Yes.
What is lacking from management? The poison of passion from management comes down to each individual, and then it just happens, and then it becomes like a form of cliquism.
Start again, because what is lacking from management?
Yeah, it's what's coming down from management trickles down among each other, and then you have a cliquism starts to form.
Okay.
It's very poisonous among their community.
Okay. So, if I've understood you, what you're saying is that sometimes in places that something may be going on at the top level of leadership or management.
Yeah, they have favoritism. And being a little girl growing up in the movement, I've seen this. Like, if one devotee is not favorable to another devotee and hear that this devotee is going to get initiated or married, they'll undermine the process before the ceremony takes place, and then everything gets resolved. And it's all coming down from management, because management decide not to give recommendation even though the person is qualified because of hearsay or gossip, or sometimes give recommendation because he's favorable or friend to that person, even though he's not qualified.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding you also, this relates to inadequate professionalism. Yes. And that's also something that's discussed in another one of the items, which is that sometimes there's a tendency to favor this one or that one over another, and then someone else automatically feels uncared for because of like that.
And then you have the troublemakers underneath the gossips and carry
I have no idea what you're talking about. Not experienced that anywhere. Wherever you grew up is...
I was a little girl, so I used to see everything. I'm surprised that I could identify the problem when I was a little girl that was happening.
Yeah. This is just, it's not an uncommon thing, and it definitely does go on, and it is a shame, and I'm, sorry that you kind of had to go through that and see it.
It's okay, because I've learned from that. I've gained a lot of
Perfect.
experience from that.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and that's one of the things that we do on the course. After we discuss the reasons for devotee care, after we discuss the reasons, we do a whole exercise about how to come up with solutions. What is the process? Because making mistakes is not a problem. Bhagavad Gita says that every endeavor is covered by some fault. It doesn't say once a day you might make a mistake. It says Every endeavor is covered by fault. It means we're making perpetual mistakes all the time. The problem is if we don't learn from them, and we just keep repeating the same mistakes. So it's not a problem. If we see these things happening, we can identify, but let's figure out what is the most proactive, positive way to prevent it from happening in the future or to change that culture.
So I believe the best way to change that, just like how they have that course, in order for you to get initiation, you must take this course. Every management should have this course, proper training. So inadequate professionalism should be, they should be taught.
Nice.
Knowledgeable of how to do that. This should be a mandatory course for especially anyone in management positions.
I agree. Yeah, I could get into the whole thing, but I accept what you said, no problem. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, well, in the old days, we were encouraged to drop out of school, quit our jobs. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity to become professional. And Sridhar Swami used to talk about we should have management courses for the leaders. I think that's, and I was at GEV for a couple of months, a few months back, and whereas before all the devotees were uneducated, now at the GEV sitting with the brahmacharis, they're all engineers and doctors and lawyers, so there's and the one doctor is an MD, he's in charge of picking up the cow poop at the goshala at the GEV. So he's really professional, but he's picking up cow dung.
Yeah. Very nice. And actually the GEV, Govardhan Village, is where the first GBC college ran. So some years ago, I was part of the strategic planning team under the GBC. One of the things that was identified is training for leaders. And it was brought up that we need to have a place to train the future leaders because your generation, it was like Prabhupada gave the example, in wartime, you'll stop in a village and you'll make this guy the general or you'll make this guy a leader because there isn't anybody else. But Prabhupada said as time goes on, we have to boil the milk. So we need to create quality also. So as time goes on, and this, 50 years later, there still wasn't clear training, what to speak of succession planning, So now there is the GBC college where anyone who is being trained to be a zonal supervisor, which theoretically is in line to become a GBC or a person who oversees a certain area, they have to go through this training. And one thing that we're trying to push for is there should be another course specifically for temple presidents. And my opinion is, because I'm a faculty member of the GBC college, I do temple administration, what's it called? Principles of Temple Administration. It's one of the longest parts of the course. So I want to make that available for anyone who has a leadership role because it just gives basic principles of how to manage and how to lead. So this is brilliant. Both of these points are really good.
There's an additional to that item. Instead of having a course where they have to travel because they're like, oh, we can go or we can't go.
This is all
Come
online.
straight to the temple and push that course right there and everybody must attend.
Something in your language that to push the course and you must attend, but I get your enthusiasm for that. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next section because we're supposed to finish in 8 minutes. And we got 12 slides. We can do it, as long as I don't talk. Okay, you're on.
So these are the 12 areas of devotee care that we discussed on the course. Obviously, there may be more, but I can never see that. Okay, spiritual life, health care, marriage, sex and relationships, child rearing and child care, education, career and employment, financial, housing, travel and immigration, consumer and lifestyle, legal and civic, and mediation advice.
And this is a breakdown of how those are, what's included in those areas. In all places we've been, to some extent, they have some of these things happening. But no place has all of them happening, and no place has all of them happening in a very systematic way. Some things are inadvertent, like, oh, you're moving to the area, speak to, Bill or Bob or Prashun, that they know about accommodation. It's a little ad hoc. So these are the areas of devotee care, and this is part of the spectrum of care, which means that care isn't just for sick, elderly, and dying. It's for everyone, and in many different ways. In many different ways. So these are the 12 areas.
And these are the 12 recipients of devotee care. Women, cows and bulls, brahmanas, children and the youth, elderly, brahmachari communities, grihastha communities, vanaprasts, sannyasis, other temple residents, leaders and senior devotees.
So these would be the recipients of care. Yes? Again, neither of these are exhaustive lists, but it's a very good place to start and to use as a compass. Now if you combine 12 recipients with 12 areas, the matrix that would get created means that someone who is a lady has all of those 12 areas also of care, and they'll be unique to her. What to speak if she's a lady, child, or lady youth, or a lady whose husband has passed, a widow. Like in London, we just had one group of ladies get together and they started a widow's sangha. I mean, back in the day, no one would have been talking about a widow's sangha, right? But now it's a practical reality that we have ladies who've lost their husbands and they're still hurting inside. And when they come together, they have sangha, but they're also able to support one another. So it's an area of care, it's indeed. And so these things need to be addressed. So this kind of explains them a little bit more in depth. And all this is covered, you can see in the student handbook like that. So last quick question, but we're going to do this in a group, just a quick fire. So how do you feel that a focus on devotee care could improve your yatra? Means, like if we focus on devotee care, this is going to be open. It's not like in groups, so it's all together. So just throw something out there. How do you think your yatra will be benefited if actually there was a focus on devotee care? Yes? A better community. Could you define better for me? What does better look like for you?
Means it will be more loving and caring community.
Okay, a more loving and caring community.
This could be more happy, healthy, and inspired.
Okay, happier, healthier, inspired devotees. The GBC started when they launched devotee care in around 2000, what was it, 8, 9? It was a little later, 10, 11. They came up with the slogan, happier, more devotees, happier devotees. You were going to say something, Mother? Yes.
New devotees will stick around instead of leaving.
Maybe devotees will actually stick around. Okay, very nice. At the back, anything? Your spokeslady left. Left you two guys hanging there.
Well, I think that this is the real meaning between the spiritual world and make our life productive and left to better society for upcoming generations.
Wow, this is amazing. So what I understood is that the community, your yatra, will become like the spiritual world.
Yes.
Very nice.
I have one little thing that I read by Bhagavat.
Okay.
Says, anyone who possesses my servant and then worships me is very lowly and degraded. Such a person cuts me into pieces. His worship is like fire burning my body. My holy name, which is called for victory, destroy anyone who wants blaspheme my servant. And raising his arm, Lord Chaitanya declared to the entire world, we don't take criticism of others. Everyone please chant Krishna's name. I will personally deliver anyone who does not criticize others and who wants to chant Krishna. This is the truth. This is the truth from Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya, Kana, chapter 19.
Thank you, that's very powerful. I'd really like if you could send that to me somehow. I don't know how, because we don't have my details, but yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Lila 12, you said something, okay. So, yeah, we obviously we would please Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
Yes, very nice.
If you think we're hurting someone, like the father is hurting by the children fighting, or we stop fighting, the father's pleased, then we'll stop hurting each other, and we'll care for each other.
Perfect, wonderful. Thank you so much.
If the devotees are feeling cared for and loved, they'll be more enthusiastic to preach
Yes.
more and give it to others.
Yes,
Share
very nice.
that.
Very nice. Share the care.
Yeah, and devotees will be more connected and less lonely.
Okay, devotees won't feel lonely, they'll feel more connected. Perfect. Okay, these are some very nice things. So, got 1 minute. So, anyway, there was a GBC resolution that all centers should host this course. So we are encouraging devotees to become inspired, to invite us back, and let us run the whole course. But it needs a commitment of time, and that's very valuable, so we know that, but that's it. And this is just some information about the Devotee Care course. Whoops. Just, yeah, roughly, it's a 20-hour course, 8 to 30 participants. It's very interactive, similar to this. And it concludes with the development of a strategic plan. So part of the course is to help the members who attend the course at the end to develop a strategic plan for actually starting to implement devotee care in the community. Part of that is also understanding that there's already some devotee care happening in the community, for sure. So how do we build upon what's already happening? But how do we look at, maybe there are a few areas we're really not doing anything in that really needs to be looked at. How can we start? It's not going to solve everything overnight, but it's a way of inspiring and enthusing devotees to act. Part of that would be to establish a devotee care office, which I think you already have something to that effect, because your role is a community care director. Yes, you're directing the care. So like that. We joined Bhaktivedanta Manor, and the leadership there came up with this vision that ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Manor is a beacon of devotee care for the UK and the world. So that's their hope and ambition. My hope would be that the Bhakti Center could be a bigger beacon for the world. So, like that. And so this is some information about a devotee care office and what that would look like. And then if there's any reflections back, our time is up. So like that. So, and the problem is that I talk too much, and I'm sorry about that. Yes, Prabhuji, and your name again?
My name is
Anil. No, Aniruddha.
Anil.
Got it. Okay, yes.
So, Prabhu, I'm not sure how right is it to ask you this, but it's just a session, or really we are really going to do something on the ground with this?
Thank you for that question. It's such an important, powerful question. And all I can say to you, Aniruddha Prabhu, is I'm simply your servant, and I'm just traveling around. It's not up to me. I don't live here, in case you didn't notice. So it's really up to the leadership and the community. And some places we've been, the hope is that the leaders decide this is valuable. They put the course, they arrange for the course to happen. They attend the course also with members of the community that they feel are already caregivers or inspirers for care, like that. And then we come together and we create something. In some places, the community decides they want it, and they kind of don't care whether the leadership or management endorses it or not. And I don't say that because I'm, a former temple president, and I definitely didn't want any mutiny in my temple, but the point is, in a society, as a community, you can create whatever you want in your community. It's not dependent on the temples. Now I'm going to say something really controversial, and you can turn that off. So, as a society, a temple is one small part. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness